Greetings. I am Vara Prasad, and I have the privilege of serving as the director of the Sustainable Intensification Innovation Lab at Kansas State University, funded by the Feed the Future program of USAID. Welcome to our virtual annual meeting. Things are not the same since we met last time, and much has changed due to the human pandemic caused by COVID 19, especially in 2020. It was in mid 2019 when we met in Senegal and had a wonderful time interacting with each other, learning about Senegal, and enjoying great food together. It feels like it was a long time ago. Here is a quick reminder of some fun facts we learned while we were together in Senegal. Senegal is the only country in West Africa which did not have a military coup. The taxis in Senegal have artificial tails made of goat and sheep hair for good luck. They have great food, especially local rice and onion dishes mixed with fish, chicken, or meat. There are special local fruit drinks made from ginger, baobab, and baysap. I'm sure you tried those while you were there. This year, we plan to be in Cambodia, but things really did not work like that. We would have really enjoyed the place. Here are some fun facts about Cambodia. It is home to the largest religious building in the world, Angkor Wat, the city of temples. Cambodia is the only country in the world to feature a building on its flag. It also houses one of the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia, Tonle Sap, being the richest inland fishing grounds in the world. It is home to the kindest people with great hospitality and delicious food. I did not want to leave Bangladesh, our other focus country. The capital of Bangladesh, Dhaka, is the most densely populated city on earth. Bangladesh is known as playground of seasons, as it has not 3 or 4, but 6 unique seasons: summer, rainy, autumn, cool, winter, and spring. It has the longest uninterrupted sea beach in the world, about 127 kilometers or 77 miles long. Bangladesh is home to the world's biggest halophytic mangroves forest called Sundarbans. The country is famous for local fish hilsa cooked with mustard. It also has several local sweet dishes. The year 2020 was by far unique and unprecedented year from various reasons. First, due to incidents and rapid spread of COVID-19, human pandemic disease, which to date has infected almost 100 million people and killed over 2 million people around the world. In US alone, it resulted in a deaths of more than 420,000 people. This is the third most deadly event in the US history, only after 1918 flu and the Civil War. Year 2020 was also unique as it was one of the warmest years in the US history, tied with 2016. The US recorded hot and dry seasons with high evaporative demands, which caused many wildfires, particularly in the western part of US in California. These fires devastated vast areas of forest, bushlands, and grasslands in the region and have significant impact on our environment. On the other hand, 2020 was also one of the most active storm seasons in the Atlantic, with a record of 20 named storms, which is unusual and unique. They ran out of names and had to use Greek letters. Our host country in Asia, Bangladesh, in June and July 2020, had a strong monsoon season and about one-third of Bangladesh was flooded, which caused significant damage to property and life. The photos show the land covered in water at the beginning of June and end of July. Similarly, in Senegal, May of 2020 recorded the warmest May since 1849, with an average monthly temperatures of 33.2 degrees Celsius. In the same year, later in September, there were intense rains causing floods in several places in Senegal, Niger, Ghana, and Mali. In some regions, the entire year's worth of rainfall fell in just a single month. Coming to the situation on global food security and nutritional status, the recently released 2020 FAO report had some alarming and disturbing numbers. It showed that the number of undernourished people and stunted children significantly increased in 2019 relative to previous years. Most parts of Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, saw increases in the number of undernourished and food insecure people in the last 10 years. Sub-Saharan Africa was the only region in the world where the numbers of stunted children under 5 years increased compared to 2012. This is not considering the COVID-19 impacts, but these numbers may look worse for the year 2020. It is estimated that COVID-19 will have significant negative impacts on food and nutritional security around the world, particularly in Africa and South Asia. This is primarily through the economic pressure caused by the government due to costs related to health and social infrastructure associated with the pandemic. There may also be direct impacts on food production due to shortage of labor or unavailability of labor and losses caused due to lack of transportation system in some areas. The report says based on the region, there will be about 15 to 23% increase in the number of poor people compared to previous years. There are several wicked problems we are facing in recent years around the world, which impacted our lives, livelihoods, and lifestyle. They include food insecurity and malnutrition, issues related to water scarcity, water quality and safety, rapid increases in the greenhouse gas emissions, occurrences of temperature extremes, extended periods of drought, intense rainfall, and natural calamities such as floods and storms. Several countries, especially those who do not have their own energy resources, are facing energy crisis due to increasing demand. We have also seen income inequality, rise in food prices, and equity issues in the affordability of food. These issues cause riots and political stability and governance. Similarly, the social injustice and racism was exposed in 2020 in terms of both health and food sovereignty. From human, plant, and animal health perspective, COVID-19 was just one example of one disease initiated from animal species and transferred to humans and caused havoc around the world. It showed our vulnerability and lack of preparedness. We're already aware of crop losses caused by locusts and fall armyworm to our crops in Africa and Asia, and also impact of African swine flu to the livestock industry in Asia. These wicked problems can only be solved by multidisciplinary teams and using systems approaches with broad collaborative teams and programs. COVID-19 also reiterated the need for broadening the One Health concept and prepare ourselves for any future disease outbreaks from different species to humans. COVID-19 spread from animals to humans. There are several others which can spread between species, and microbiomes, right from microbes in the soils to plants, animals, and humans. All of us should come together and see the linkages between the species and biomes and how these can influence human health and ecosystem health. Starting from soil health, healthy soils can lead to healthy plants, to healthy animals, to healthy humans, ultimately leading to healthy ecosystems on this planet. Climate change caused by humans and increasing greenhouse gas emissions is a threat to all species on this planet. We are responsible for this due to our greed and selfishness. We need to fix it before it gets worse or reaches a breaking point. Climate action and food systems are complex issues. When we talk about climate action, there is a need to focus on the entire food system with an end-to-end focus right from production to transportation, storage, packaging, consumer preferences, preparation, and waste recycling. The food choices we make to meet our nutritional needs will have major impact on greenhouse gas emissions. Let's be wise on what we eat, where we produce, where we purchase, and how we eat, and not waste any food. I know that all of you are already aware of what sustainable agricultural intensification is and what are the major components, but I just wanted to reiterate for the sake of students and new scholars the broad overview of sustainable agricultural intensification, or SAI. The goal of SAI is to provide access to safe, nutritious, and healthy food at all times to all people from existing farmland and without damaging our natural resources or ecosystem health. It has several components that can be broadly divided into three. First, genetic intensification that is focused on increasing yields, building tolerance to biotic and abiotic stresses, improving nutritional quality using both traditional methods and novel genomic and gene editing tools. Second, agroecological intensification that is focused on diversification, farming systems, improved agronomy, resource use efficiency, integrated nutrient and pest management strategies, among others. Third, socioeconomic intensification focused on developing markets, policy interventions, understanding barriers of adoption, building social capital, creating enabling environments for adoption of improved practices, and institutional building. Innovations in geospatial and digital tools, artificial intelligence, mechanization, precision agriculture, research on scaling, entrepreneurship, and private sector engagement should be used and employed. It covers interaction of genotypes, environment, management, and social aspects. Engagement of youth, integration of gender, scaling methods, effective communication, data management, and open science is part of it, and it should be well articulated and integrated in the process. Sustainable agricultural intensification provides a holistic platform and approach to address issues related to food security, malnutrition, One Health, and climate action. The Sustainable Intensification Innovation Lab is built to provide a holistic platform and approach to address food and nutrition security and climate change. It has a large and broad portfolio covering many aspects that were mentioned in the components of SAI. We have several innovative multidisciplinary research projects in West Africa and Asia. In the first phase, we were also in East Africa. The topics of research were developed through co-creation and co-development with inputs from host country partners and practitioners. I will come back and explain the research topics in the next slide. We have 4 consortiums and 2 centers of excellence. Appropriate Scale Mechanization Consortium led by University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign with Prasanta Kalita as lead. The Digital Tools Geospatial and Farming Systems Research Consortium was led by University of California, Davis from 2014 to 2019, and from 2020 onwards will be led by Ignacio Cimpiti at Kansas State University. We continued supporting Rutgers Policy Research Consortium led by Carl Prey and Anwar Naseem at Rutgers University. We support and collaborate with Soils Consortium established by the National Fertilizer Development Center, IFDC. In addition, we have a Center of Excellence on Sustainable Agricultural Intensification and Nutrition at Royal University of Agriculture in Cambodia, led by Rector Buntan and Leda Hawk. In 2020, we established iReach, Innovation in Research, Education, Advisory and Coordination Hub at CORAF Executive Secretariat in Senegal, led by Abdul Tinkano and Abdullah Jalaf. This will serve the West African countries. From research projects directly from CEL and not considering the consortium, funded research from 2020 onwards will include the following. In West Africa, our research is focused on crop-livestock interaction, focusing on dual-purpose crops, grain for human consumption, and biomass as animal feed. In Senegal and Niger, it is looking into scaling the use of dual-purpose millet varieties in the agropastoral systems in those countries. This is co-led by Duhan Min from Kansas State University and Aliou Faye from Senegalese Institute of Agricultural Research. In Burkina Faso, we continue to support the long-term soil fertility management and crop rotation systems in West Africa, which is run from about 60 years ago. This is led by Hamidou Traoré of National Institute of Agricultural Research, INIRA. He is supported by Mariam Kiba Soba and Jibril Yunli. In Asia, our Bangladesh research is focused on rice fallows and looking at pathways of scaling selected high-yielding, nutrient-dense, short-duration rice varieties in the main season with appropriate agronomy and special cereal, legume, or oilseed crops in rice fallows. Whereas in Cambodia, the project is looking at scaling vegetable grafting, wild gardens with spatial, temporal, and functional diversity, and cover crops in rice fallows. Although we have completed the research uptake and impact study, the final report was published last year. We have a small study focused on impact of common beans being led by Mavish Maridia of Michigan State University. You will hear from the leaders and teams of all of our large research projects, consortia, centers of excellence, CSAIN in Cambodia and iReach in Senegal during this annual meeting. Please find time to listen to them during the program, and the presentations are also on Mural platform where you can watch it anytime during the 3 days of our meetings 24/7. In addition, there are some posters that are from our students from different host countries. They can also be viewed in the Mural platform for the next 3 days. Please utilize this opportunity to view them. Coming to the highlights of what CEL Management Entity has done this year, despite the difficulties caused to our lifestyle and living by COVID-19. We all worked from home, completed our tasks, and met our goals and objectives for that year. These include all research projects and proposals were reviewed, finalized, and contracted. Digital Tools Geospatial and Farming Systems Research Consortium was established. Mechanization Consortium was restructured and continued with renewed focus. Soils Consortium research initiated and activities continued in Niger and Ethiopia. CSAIN worked towards being institutionalized within RUA. We also secured commitment to continue funding beyond 2021, potentially for 4 more years. Key partnerships forged with new entities, for example, CIRCA, in Southeast Asia, Swiss Contact, and Government of Cambodia for conservation agriculture, mechanization, and extension activities. In 2020, I was selected to serve on an International Commission on Sustainable Agriculture Intensification, supported by a Water, Land, and Ecosystems Research Program of CGIAR, Consultative Group on International Agriculture Research. This commission will look on multiple aspects of SAI. I am serving as a co-chair of Innovation Investment Study, which will document current funding in SAI in the Global South. I'm also chairing the working group focused on principles and metrics of SAI. I will share the final documents probably by end of this year, 2021. Now, some quick numbers on our accomplishments from the first 5 years of our program from 2014 to 2019. During that time frame, we collaborated with 93 organizations, which included 80 national and international organizations, including 8 CGIAR centers and 13 US universities. We trained 115 students for long-term degrees, 6 bachelors, 61 masters, 48 doctoral students, and about 39% of them being women. We provided training to about 13,500 individuals with 268 unique training, and again, about 37% being women. We supported 120 individuals with funds for research, education, and outreach. Our research activities resulted in about 500 publications, which include peer-reviewed journal articles and abstracts. About 54 unique databases and 453 files are submitted as a part of open access in the Dataverse, and several others have also been submitted to other databases. Similarly, for CSAIN, the first 5 years, from 2016 to 2020, 4 years, they facilitated 130 meetings between the partners, and 80 lectures and trainings were conducted. Collaborations were developed with 24 US institutions. 5 technology parks were established for outreach, where 28 different technologies developed from funding from multiple sources were showcased, including the private sector. About 4,800 individuals visited these technology parks. It supported 30 doctoral students at RUA. 852 individuals received short-term training. We also hosted 5 national, regional, and international conferences. With investments of about $3 million, we generated additional $12 million investment in Cambodia. It is a pretty good return on our investments. CSAIN is not just funding research and outreach, it is changing lives and livelihoods of people. There are 4 examples of people from different backgrounds have raised their profile and livelihood. Mr. Sarath became the president of Siem Reap Agricultural Cooperative Union and developed a model farm of conservation agriculture and diversification. He's been working with us for the last 4 to 5 years, and it has changed his family's lifestyle, livelihood, and he is now the leader in the society. Ms. Chanity, serving as field technician, completed her master's majoring in sustainable agriculture. Ms. Sofek, farm manager at RUA, currently pursuing her master's degree at Kyoto University in Japan. Mr. Ran, a field technician and a farmer tuk-tuk driver, currently pursuing bachelor's degree in horticultural sciences at University of Barangbang, and he's training young and youth in the region on using sustainable agricultural practices, particularly conservation agriculture. This is the fun part I look forward every year when we meet to celebrate the successes and achievements of members of SIL family. I know that several of our researchers have probably received many more awards and recognition which I am not aware of. I apologize for that. Please ensure to inform our communication officer, Lane Wilson, about your awards, achievements, and successes so that we can share those documents and communicate to the rest of the SIL family. Some of that I know for sure are presented here. Our advisor in AOR, Jerry Glover, was named Fellow of Crop Science Society of America in 2019. He was also promoted as Acting Deputy Director of Center of Ag-Led Growth, the Bureau of Resilience and Food Security in USAID. Nora Lapiton, Leader of Community of Research and Input Systems Division Chief at USAID, who also advises and supports our iReach activities, was awarded the Betty Klepper Lectureship at the annual meeting of Crop Science Society of America. Zach Stewart chaired the Global Agronomy Division of American Society of Agronomy. Jules Priddy, our chair of External Advisory Board, was part of the committee of US and UK Scientific Forum on Sustainable Agriculture with the support from US National Academy of Sciences. Cornelia Flora, our EAB member, was one of the key panelists at this Sustainable Agricultural Forum. Jan Middendorf was selected as chair of the Innovation Lab Directors Council in 2020. She'll serve for 1 year. She is also actively participating in the 2025 Refresh Strategic Plan of Kansas State University. Krishna Jagadish was elected chair-elect of Crop Physiology Division of Crop Science Society of America. Ignacio Simpiti received the Agronomic Education and Extension Award from the American Society of Agronomy and Outstanding Research Award from Gamma Sigma Delta chapter at Kansas State University. Prakash Jha was elected as Vice Leader for 2021 of Agronomy in Africa Community of American Society of Agronomy. Lida Hawk, Director of CSAIN, was selected to serve on National Council of Science, Technology, and Innovation. This is equivalent to the rank of Undersecretary of State for the Government of Cambodia. Mariam Kibasoma, our collaborator who manages the Burkina Faso long-term trial, received the Young African Phosphorus Fellowship Award from the Africa Plant Nutrition Institute. Hamidou Traore, a research coordinator for Burkina, was reappointed to serve as the Director General of INERA. Congratulations to all of you and to those whom I did not list. Keep up the great work. It is my privilege to know and learn from all of you. Despite being a difficult year, isolated at homes, the SIL management entity family had many things to celebrate at personal level. Andra Williams, now Andra McCowan, got married. Our new international communication officer, Lane Wilson, who did not yet step into our official office, but worked from home all year, got engaged. Our business manager, Jessica Burden, also got engaged. Zach Stewart had a baby boy in 2019. He turned 1 in 2020. In addition, Zach moved and took a new job with USAID in October 2020 in the Bureau of Resilience and Food Security. But we are glad that he will still be engaged in some of our activities and helping the Soils Consortium. Once a member of SIL family, you are forever part of our lives. I want to take this opportunity to thank our project principal investigators, their teams, leaders of our consortiums, Centers of Excellence in Cambodia and Senegal. If not for your great work and commitment to serve our host countries, smallholder farmers, and practitioners, and build human and institutional capacity at these organizations, there is no meaning to our program. Thanks are due to all our partner organizations with whom we have collaborated the past 5 years. We have added many more new partners moving forward for the next 3 to 4 years. We are excited to be part of your family and we look forward to working with you. We would not be here and be able to do our job without the support of our advisors at USAID, external advisory board members, my home team at Kansas State University, and team in West Africa and Asia, and the support and commitment from the leadership of College of Agriculture in particular, and the leadership of Kansas State University. Our role as a management entity is to ensure that we create a collaborative and enabling environment for the success of your projects. Your success is our success. Working together, we can remove hunger, social inequalities from our society, ensure food sovereignty while taking care of our limited natural resources for a healthy planet. Do not hesitate to reach to any one of us and let us know about your activities, successes, and learnings. Please follow us on social media and share your stories. Thank you. Enjoy our virtual meeting. Stay safe.